Hello everybody and welcome to Lights Up, the official podcast of the WNBL. I'm Grantley Bernard alongside Desi Globitz, and hold the phones, Desi. The Canberra Capitals have won a game. 9 straight losses, but they're back on the board.
They're back on the board, and very happy they would be to be back on the board, I would have thought.
There was a little bit of controversy surrounding the Caps over the weekend, which we will touch on a little later. But in the meantime, Desi, talk us through all the results from week 14 of the WNBL season.
Well, the round started with the Adelaide Lightning at home to the Canberra Capitals, giving them an absolute hiding, 98-67. Laura Hodges had 17 points and 7 rebounds there for the Lightning, and the Caps, Jess Bibby, had 15 points, 26 turnovers there to the Capitals, not doing them any favours at all. Next, the Bendigo Spirit, 77, held off the Sydney Flames, 69. That was the 150th game for Katie Ray Ebzery, so congratulations to Katie. 22 points and 9 rebounds for Gabe Richards, and Rahani Cox, 17 points and 8 rebounds. Tough game there. Bulleen Boomers at home were unable to match the Dandenong Rangers, 72-83. Rachel Jarry had a great game with 18 points and 9 rebounds and a good defensive effort on Jenna O'Hea. For the Rangers, Kath McLeod, 18 points and 9 assists. The Rangers took 20 points from Bulleen's 18 turnovers in that game. Over to the West, and the game Grantley just mentioned, the Capitals finally breaking their 9-game losing streak, getting a win over the West Coast Waves, 60 to the Canberra Capitals, 72. Kay Tucker, 13 points and 8 rebounds. Jess Bibby finished off a good weekend with 21 points there. And a chatty weekend there for Jess Bibby as well. So the second last game of the round, the Logan Thunder, 71, were beaten by the Bendigo Spirit, 80, in a tough game. 13 points and 7 assists there for Kristen Veal. 21 points and 7 rebounds for Kelsey Griffin, who continued her good form for the Bendigo Spirit. And in the final game of the round, the Dandenong Rangers, 78, held off the Sydney Flames, 72. It took a 21-0 run at the start of the fourth quarter for the Rangers to get on top there. Jenna O'Hea, 23 points and 8 rebounds, and April Sykes had 17 points there for the Sydney Flames. Some
really interesting results, and not least of all, as we said, the Canberra Capitals finally back on the board after a 9-game losing streak. Probably just a little something, the Dandenong Rangers went 2-0 over the weekend. They won the derby against the Boomers, and then they backed up and they beat the Sydney Flames on Sunday at home. Interesting, though, that they had to do a lot of fourth quarter work in both games to get the W. I guess, again, underlines their depth of talent, fitness, all those sorts of things.
Certainly does, and I think what we know is that good teams win even when they're not playing well, and Dandenong were perhaps able to do that this weekend. The Bulleen-Dandenong game's always a tough and physical encounter, and they had to back up pretty quickly against Sydney. And I guess if we think back to earlier in the Sydney were 0-5, 0-6, and sort of not regarding them as a fantastic team, but their form lately has been much better. So a tough game and 2 tough wins for Dandenong.
Interesting that Dandenong got the win over the Sydney Flames. It was a 6-point game. And Kath McLeod 1 field goal for the game. So, you know, that shows you again they can cover. Someone has a down game, someone else is going to step up and get the job done. The Sydney Flames, I know Shuz was keen on them to push on for the playoffs, and they've come away from the weekend 0-2, but they've lost to the Bendigo Spirit by 8, and they've lost to the Dandenong Rangers by 6. I guess that just goes to show you how close they are to actually probably being a playoff team if they hadn't have had that slow start to the season.
And look, I guess it's the toughest road trip on the books now is Dandenong Bendigo, really, and 2 very close games, and they really are pushing. And looking at the ladder, they're not completely out of contention, which is just absurd, but they're not. So be interesting to see how they finish off the season.
Talking of the playoff picture, let's have a look at the ladder. Bendigo out in front at 16-2. And that is the first time Bendigo has posted 16 wins in a regular season in its history. Dandenong at 15-3, Adelaide at 12-6, then Townsville sitting 4th at 9-7. Then comes Bulleen 7-11, Logan 6-11, Canberra 6-12, Sydney 5-13, and West Coast 3-14. So you'd think maybe Bulleen and Logan have an outside shot at pushing Townsville out of the playoffs, but it's going to be a big effort.
I think the only factor that suggests that is still a chance is that Townsville have got to go on the road 6 out of 8 of their last games, and traditionally they're strong at home, and not so great on the road, and I think that's probably the only window there for Bulleen and Logan to get back in. And this weekend will tell a lot with Townsville coming down to Melbourne for a double, so I think we will know more this time next week.
So definitely a game that the Bulleen Boomers need to win against the Townsville Fire if they are to sneak into 4th place. Speaking of the Bulleen Boomers, Rachel Jarry is one of the stars for the Boomers, the forward. Went to the Olympics with the Opals in our winter, the European summer. And this week she became a spokesperson for the Say Something campaign to combat youth violence. She was mugged last year in Melbourne CBD, and rather than, I guess, shy away from it, she's really stepped up to be an active member of the community and speak out against youth violence.
Hats off to Rach for that. It's a huge effort, and a massive year for Rach last year, where she was assaulted earlier on in the season. She had to fight to take her Olympic spot. She was recently drafted into the WNBA as well, so a couple of massive years there for Rach. And not many players, I can't think of another instance in the history of the league where a player as high profile as Rach is has been assaulted, and it was a terrible thing that happened. And good on her for standing up and saying something and supporting other people that might find themselves in a similar situation.
She's a warrior on the hardwood, and now she is a real civic and community leader. That's the Say Something campaign. Check it out, and well worth having a look at that. We mentioned just a little earlier when we were going through the scores, Canberra snapping the 9-game losing streak. So they've got the monkey that had grown into King Kong off their back. But coming into the game, there was a little controversy. Jess Bibby with some quite controversial comments in regards to how Basketball Australia looks out for the WNBL and the players, in particularly the Canberra Capitals wanting to live stream their games over the internet, and I guess a few other perks that the WNBL players don't get that the NBL players get. What did you make of it, Desi?
Well, I read the article, and I guess we're so used to athletes being trained in what to say to the media, and what was so refreshing about that article was that Jess just said exactly what she thought. Now, whether she was right or wrong, I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of the live streaming or what BA are trying to do with the broadcasting, so I'm certainly unable to comment on that. But I guess what shone through for me is that Jess is a very, very passionate supporter of women's basketball, and so many of us WNBL fans would like to see a little bit more I guess the girls getting a bit more of a run in the media in general, and bigger crowd numbers and bigger grassroots basketball. And so for the passion that was behind those comments, I absolutely rate Jess for saying what she thinks. And as for whether it was spot on the money or not, I have absolutely no idea. But yeah, if we can raise the profile of the WNBL in any way, and if that's the clubs and BA working together, then maybe it's just coordinating those efforts, and it certainly could be a great thing for the future. Obviously, the frustration and anger fueled up Jess, because she had 21 in that win over West Coast. So well done to Jess Bibby, well done to the Caps, finally getting a win. It's time for viewer feedback and viewer questions, and this week we have a champion prize pack for the best question of the week. And the first one comes to us off Twitter from Marcus Lincoln. Desi, has Christy Harrower won a WNBL title before? Your thoughts on the possibility that she may win one this season? And he comments that she is very deserving. I did have to do a little bit of research. I couldn't remember, and I wondered myself. I thought, I wonder if she has won a title. Yes, she has. She won a title with Adelaide. Were they Lightning back then, Granley? Yes. Adelaide Lightning back in 1994, which was either straight out of the Institute or straight out of the Institute, and a title with Adelaide. So I'm very glad she has got one under her belt. My thoughts on the possibility, I think it's a strong possibility, and with one big factor in the way being Dandenong for me. But being a country girl myself, I think it would be absolutely awesome if a Victorian, or a country team from anywhere in Australia actually, but a country team was able to get up and win this title. And with my beloved Boomers aside, I'd certainly love to see Bendigo get a win. It's been a long time between drinks for Christy, I think around about 18 years. So yeah, you wouldn't have any complaints for me if Bendigo got up and won the title this year. I think there is an expectation too that she probably will retire at the end of this season. So to go out with a championship and put the shoes on the peg, it'd be pretty special, wouldn't it? Certainly would be, and there'd be very few that it would be more deserving of such. And just because I guess she's from Bendigo, she's born and bred, Dad's the coach, they're so involved in that Bendigo club, and you know, to be part of the inaugural title that Bendigo would get would be fantastic.
And I guess that leads us into our next question, which is off Facebook, and it's from Beck McGrath, who wants to know, the Dandenong Rangers have shown this season that they're an extremely skilled team and offensively potent. Although the only team they haven't been able to beat is Bendigo. What is it do you think that Bendigo have got over Dandenong?
Very good question there by Beck. I had a bit of a look back. I think that the answer is my answer is we still don't know. We had round 2, Dandenong at home, lost by 12 points. No Monica Wright, no Kelsey Griffin. In round 4, we had a 2-point win to Bendigo at home in Bendigo. No Wright, no Griffin and no Phillips in that game. And more recently in round 10, 8th of December, Bendigo again at home getting up by 7 points. Griffin and Wright both played in that game but didn't play a huge role, 7 points each, and I think both of those girls have really found their feet in the league and you know, bring something special to their respective clubs. Christy Harrow has had 3 great games in each of those games to get Bendigo over the line. So I think with all their imports in and playing, their next meeting will be a final. It'll likely be a semi-final. I don't know that we do know exactly what Bendigo have over Dandenong, and that concerns me a little bit for Bendigo in the finals, just with the finals experience and the composure and so many options that Dandenong do have.
Well, there is the final margin in those 3, all to Bendigo. It's only 7 points. So over the course of a game, 7 points is, you know, a possession here, a possession there, and it can really turn a game. So yeah, I'm not sure that we've really got any hard and fast answers to that one either.
Would Bendigo get a home semi-final if they finished on top?
If Bendigo finish on top, they will get a home semi-final. So it's pretty important.
Very interesting.
Very important. So we need to pick a winner for the champion prize pack, Desi. Who are you going to honour with the prize?
I think we'll go with our first question off the Twitter there from Marcus Lincombe. He made me do some work to find that out, and I was very pleased to find that Christy had won a title earlier on in her career, so we will be sending out a champion prize pack to Marcus, so thank you very much for your questions and keep them coming.
Well done, Marcus, and we look forward to more questions next week via Twitter at WNBL or the WNBL Facebook page for Lights Up next week. Well, that brings us into looking ahead to week 15, Desi, and as you said before, Townsville Fire have got a massive road double. Take us through what is the full schedule for week 15.
I shall do. We say it every week. This week, this round is going to tell us a lot coming into finals, but the Logan Thunder would have to pull off a big win against the Adelaide Lightning over in Adelaide to keep their finals hopes alive. The Bendigo Spirit are at home to the Townsville Fire. Canberra Capitals at home to the Dandenong Rangers. Bulleen Boomers at home to the Townsville Fire in a match that could decide 4th place. And the last game of the round on Sunday over in Perth, the West Coast Waves taking on the Logan Thunder.
It could well be a round that does decide the final 4. Pure and simple. You would fancy if Townsville can get a split of their road double, and in that split they beat Bulleen. That pretty much could put them in. That is about it for this week's episode of Lights Up. Don't forget you can get all the WNBL news at wnbl.com.au. You can follow the league on the Facebook page and on Twitter at WNBL. You can fire in some questions on Twitter to Desi at DesiGlobitz6 and at Sharon Milner 4. If you want any questions answered about the WNBL, get onto Twitter and hit the girls up. They will be more than happy to respond, I'm sure, Desi. And
have we got time for a little shout out?
Go on.
The former WNBL player Anna Crosswhite got married over the weekend. Looked absolutely gorgeous, so big congratulations to Anna.
Fantastic. Everyone looks good on their wedding day. I'm sure even you will look good on your wedding day, Desi. We need to thank our sponsors, and it starts with IINet.
Champion.
ABC.
The Australian Sports Commission.
Sporting Pulse.
Spalding.
And ANFA. Desi just recovering from that little backhander. I do apologise.
I'm so glad I gave him an in.
It was a cheap shot. It was a cheap shot, but I'm going to take it. And on that note, a cheery, happy note, that's it for Lights Up for this week.